During the first game day of APAC North League, Fnatic played two very interesting defences that I want to investigate further. Oregon is a very defined map in the current meta, yet Fnatic showed a new and more aggressive way of defending the two primary bomb sites, Bunk and Laundry. The meta of Siege is changing, and it's become more common to see across all levels of competitive Siege. Defenders have to play more aggressive now that the meta is shifting away from them in terms of favourability, and this shows in both T3 leagues like UKIN and now T2 and T1. I have attempted to the best of my ability to blueprint the Fnatic strats, being forced to assume some parts of the defence as they aren't shown directly on stream. We will first focus on the basement bomb site where they play very aggressive shields focused towards blue with a utility dump of 2 ADSs and Wamai. They later amplify this with Aruni. This is obviously the main feature of this defence, with a vast amount of utility dedicated towards it. The Laundry and Freezer sides of the bomb site are vulnerable, yet they do still have default holes and default means to deal with an attack from these sides. In the game, Fnatic's opponents decide to attack through this setup with a blue and tower take, which ultimately failed as they had very scarce utility by the end of the round. This strat is good. It obviously contains some weaknesses like any strat, yet it has to be played correctly for it to be successful. Some examples of this include the shield rotations, the ban's player positioning and each position's goals. Smoke's shield on the bomb site itself wants to be rotated where it is most effective, which in this game featured these two shields. The first to deny laundry rushes or pushes, the second to allow a player to play behind the bomb and not to be open to a breached main wall. The bans also have to be specific. In this game, Hiban and Thatcher were taken off the board, which weakened the attack due to the inability to open multiple hatches and walls with just a Maverick in the short time span. Mute was on the board, and any other hard breach would not be usable due to the Mute in play. In the first round, the attackers couldn't even open the main breach fully, which meant they stared directly at a shield, gaining very little influence over the bomb site. The players also changed positioning, the main example of this being Mute and Goyo changing their positions based on who possessed a Nitro cell, which is effective when thrown towards the close quarters of default plant area. The goals of each player were also specifically defined. Jaeger's goal is to trade 1 for 1, he has placed down all of his utility and his goal is to waste time and try to trade positively onto an attacker. Goyo and Mute both have the goals of staying alive and serving alongside Smoke as plant and area denial, and Wamai's goal is to waste as much time and utility as possible. This strat might have some flaws. Obviously it requires a Thatcher ban, yet this is still common. The bomb site, if using this strat, is somewhat vulnerable to a G2 style of attack where all parts of the bomb site are pressured due to the weaker hold towards Laundry and Freezer. If all the rotations are not possible, then the strat is also weaker, yet if anyone else spots any key weaknesses, do leave them in the comments. The other strat I want to talk about is the top floor bomb site that they defended on round 2. Whilst they lost this bomb site when they played it, it is solely down to the distinct lack of awareness by the defenders around Big Window. The strat itself is actually efficient and interesting. The main feature of this defence is the similar win condition in use, which features the excessive use of burns to protect key utility like Goyo shields and Melusi Banshees. The shields are placed in these positions, each giving sightlines towards a trophy side push. This shield in Attic is particularly interesting, as I believe it is used alongside the roamers to counter the main weakness of this setup, which is a kid's window repel, by protecting a close defender from Attic, yet this seems like a weak position even with the ADS and barbed wire. The lack of hard breach denial is the main weakness of this strat, and whilst the Wamai can impact trick the game's wall alongside Melusi, this is no permanent solution if someone can stand in the trophy door or repel on the game's window. This strat may also be vulnerable to a big window take. Fnatic played the strat with Melusi and Jaeger roaming, and this is both a positive and a negative, as roam presence is notable in any round, yet the site lacks enough bodies for each possible area being pushed unless they can quickly get back to the site itself. This strat can work, and it did for Fnatic, however whilst it is a good strat, it may not be one you consider bringing as a default. Overall, Fnatic played these interesting strategies, both with varying levels of effectiveness. They played very aggressive in both instances, and I hope we see more of this playstyle from Fnatic across the rest of the APAC North League. Thank you for watching.